Hello and welcome to today's session, One New Tactic That Solves Your ABM ROI Issues, a Gartner A/B test that broke conventional wisdom. First, a little bit about me and Chronologic. Chronologic is already filling the calendars for some of the world's largest and fastest growing companies. And I myself have held almost every role in the revenue funnel, from marketing ops to demand gen leader, marketing leader, SDR, and even sales rep. So, and I've actually been at doing those roles within the contact center, customer service software space, and the sales engagement space over the last 4+ years. So very much connected to that customer experience and that customer life cycle. Today, we'll talk about the flaws in the best practices, the solutions, the A/B test and results, the good stuff, and then even better stuff, how to adapt this strategy. So first, the flaw. What is the flaw? It's our engagement during the handoff to sales. As a demand gen leader and a former sales rep and SDR, I've found time and time again early on in my career that this is one of the most important, but also one of the most difficult components of the process. On the marketing side, we've automated this. We figured it out. Less than a handful of people can actually build a workflow that orchestrates and handles thousands of interactions that are tracked, scored, appended, and processed daily. You have your intent data, your account selection, and your contact selection. They go through the ads to the nurture streams and the webinars, and then when they qualify, they get enriched by your data platforms, and they go into Salesforce and off to sales. Easy peasy. However, when you get to the sales side, it's much more manual. Now, we are prioritizing the to-do list that's assigned to each lead, and we actually end up giving massive to-do lists to sales as marketers as opposed to qualified leads, because they work the to-do list tasks, which thankfully we have these tools that prioritize it. But when you think about it at scale, 1,000 leads actually could equal 10,000 to-dos. And if you miss your number and you need to ramp up MQLs and get more leads over, so you double that over a given time frame, you now go with 2,000 leads, but what the sales team sees is 20,000 to-do lists because of the 10 actions per lead. And then once that first connect happens, that first phone call connection and conversation, that first email reply, whatever that is, all of a sudden it becomes manual again. They give you a yes, and then it's manual again to try and book the discovery call. And then you hold the discovery call in the future, whenever that is, and then the opportunity is created. It's a much larger, longer process. And unfortunately, it doesn't scale easily. Every SDR can handle maybe 30 meetings, or can book 30 meetings in a month, and that could equal 10 to 15 on average for most B2B companies opportunities per month. So now your capacity from a marketing perspective can no longer be infinitely scaled like you actually are able to do. Your constraint to the opportunity capacity of what your SDR team can produce per SDR, and hiring more people to drive more pipeline is a very expensive way to do that. So let's see what the ABM companies say. They're doing things that nobody else is doing. This is fantastic. Well, they say you should identify accounts and then you should market to them. Oh! But wait, where's the measure results? Where's the sales part? Where's the part that our marketing actually turns into something? Well, they do say that 60% of marketers invest in technology to better align the teams. Well, I've used Demandbase. It's actually a fantastic platform. It's given me really great results. To their defense, they don't do sales engagement, so they're just hoping you have something there that can help. It's really missing the biggest, most important part, though, which is where your actions turn into revenue. So let's look at someone else. 6 Sense, another platform I've used, another fantastic application that provided me amazing results in a past life. And so let's see what they say. They actually call out in their 5 steps, 2 steps that are talking about engaging in the right way with your sales team, and don't throw the leads over the wall. You should collaborate with them. You should plan with them. You should role play with them. You should do all these things so that you're connected to the hip. That's great. They say you should do that. But when you actually get into the orchestration of the campaign, when you actually look at the details of what you should do, there's all sorts of information on the marketing side, but they just say sales engagement when it gets down to that sales component. Like I said, to their defense, they don't do that. They do the marketing side. So they're not going to prescribe something that they are not, the experts in per their offering. So let's look at what those experts do say. Well, Outreach says 9 touches over 14 days. G2, who reviews all the platforms, gave their own prescription of 23 touches across 14 days. And we call this lead chasing. But does this lead chasing provide a good buying experience? The reps have to mentally prepare for those call blocks. They have to start early in the day to make sure they get through all those tasks for all the leads that were sent out. Hopefully they're prioritized. Hopefully the call that they make actually lands when that person is waiting and ready to answer that call. Or maybe you've fooled them and they answer it anyway, and you have 30 seconds to scramble to try and get a good discovery call booked. But this is not a great buying experience. So we asked the buyers, is that true? Is it really not a good buying experience? We teamed up with Heinz Marketing to do some research polls, and what we found was 80% of the technology buyers are most annoyed by being lead chased with calls and emails when booking a meeting. Not even just in general. When booking a meeting, the most annoying part is the lead chasing. At the same time, 78% of marketers' biggest fear is the lack of or not enough follow-up when passing leads to sales. So they keep making these engagement and cadence and sales sequences more robust, more thorough, more steps, longer time frames. Maybe it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 touches. Maybe that we think the 8th touch is the one that's the one. But they don't want that. The buyers don't want that. So why do we keep pushing it through? There's got to be a better way. Right now, or until now, there hasn't been a better way. So we just keep doing this ugly cycle. This ugly cycle, we label it the last mile problem. And it spans across all lead sources. ABM campaigns are made up of all sorts of different tactics, from ads to webinars to content to nurture streams to trade shows to anchor them, your own shows, whatever it may be. It goes across all of them. This is a problem that's common in demand gen, and we've just learned to live with it. But we can't do that because we can't scale the way, or we can scale the way the sales team can't scale. So we need to help them out. We need to find a way to get these leads to discovery calls more efficiently. How do we do that? These leads are expensive. We don't have time to waste. We got to do something now. The leader of 6 Sense on the marketing side, Latne, their CMO, agrees. She says you're not going to use a form. You're not going to just spam. You're going to use all different tactics to be more relevant. She's saying you need to do something different. No forms, no spams, no cold calls. I agree. Nobody likes this. Even when you want a meeting, you have to go through this process. So we're going to provide something different as well. To set you up, you already know so much about them. In an ABM program, you know more about them than any other time. You know the total addressable market, the company firmographics, the exact accounts. You know the exact personas at those accounts. Not only do you know the personas and you're tailoring messaging to them, you have their phone number and email. You know their intent signal through the ABM platforms you may be using. So you know what they're doing outside of your campaigns. And you certainly know what they're doing inside your campaigns. You know what websites are going to, what content they're downloading, which events they're attending. And because of that engagement and how those campaigns are set up, you also know their exact areas of interest. There's no better time than just to say, hey, let's meet in a more efficient way. And what we are offering or suggesting is the calendar first methodology. Just send them the invite. They're ready. You know who they are. You know more about them than maybe they know because they're not looking at this holistic view. If they're looking for an IT security platform and they just downloaded your IT security assessment checklist, we'll offer a meeting to walk through it with them. Maybe even offer to have a security consultant on your team. Maybe you call them a sales engineer or a solutions consultant, whatever it may be, to offer them that. And offer it to them in a way that they can actually see it contextually in the subject of the meeting invite itself, and then put a little blurb in it and put the agenda in the body of it so that they know the value that they're going to be receiving, and they can see what you're going to walk through and what they're going to walk away from. In this scenario, you see we're offering the assessment walkthrough. We mentioned some of the things that we'll talk about, and we'll have one of our experts on the call. And with one click, no lead chasing, they can accept yes, and it's on the calendar, and the rep just shows up. What if they hit no? That's fantastic, because now you haven't spent 9 to 23 touches over 2 weeks getting them on the phone for them to ultimately say no. The meeting is the ultimate sign of buying intent, because it's the only level of buying intent. It's the only step in the entire process that is controlled by the buyer. MQL, marketing decides that. What goes to SDRs? Marketing and SDRs decide that. What becomes an opportunity? A sales rep decides that. What's the pipeline value? The sales team decides that. The only thing decided by the buyer is the accepting of the discovery call or whatever it is that you're offering. So let that be your main decision maker in the process. Let them make that decision and make it easy for them. A one click. And then the rep just shows up because it's on their calendar. And so that's what we call the calendar first, the automated sending of calendar meeting invites at scale using AI-based time negotiation to book revenue-focused meetings with no human intervention. There's also a manual side of calendar first that isn't automated. Obviously, we automate this process, but we actually have a URL at the end of this webinar where you get to see the actual blueprint of how you do this, the templates, the do's and don'ts, a test you can run to make sure the subject line is one that is actually going to draw their attention and help them understand why it's there, and an outline of what the messaging should be so that they have more context to what the meeting offering is all about, and it's happening right when they're engaging, right then and there, not when that lead gets to that point in that rep's queue for them to call, which could be a significant delay. So many ABM campaigns anchor with a direct mail. They anchor with an event or a case study download. In this case, we'll take a look at a specific event we ran, and it is the Gartner conference back in January. The marketing and sales kickoff they ran, and they provided 4,000 opt-in leads when the show was done. And 700 of them for us fit our ICP and had a certain level of intent and qualification that we wanted to run this test on. I had recently started, and I said, hey, let's do this test. This is the opt-in list, not our session attendee list. They said, yes, I want to talk to a vendor if they want to reach out. And so I said, let's just send them our presentation package. A day or two later, let's go ahead and send them some secondary collateral. And then if they download either of those, I'll just trigger a calendar invite to go out, offering an assessment or a walkthrough of the calendar first methodology. The other 350 leads, we just sent them that same offering of the calendar invite right away when the day after the show ended. So we ran the test. The first cohort had 30 downloads and 6 accepted meetings. That's pretty good for the opt-in list. 30 downloads and 20% converted to meetings. They've never heard of us before. That's fantastic. We gave them an offering and they moved forward with it. But there's still some steps in there. There's still some nurturing. There's time delay. There was 5 days for the emails to actually process. And then hopefully everybody even got the email or looked at the email because emails are buried. So the other 350, of course, we sent the calendar first invite. And we had 60 accepted meetings within 72 hours because we told them what it was referring to, the Gartner conference, and we were going to give them a walkthrough of the calendar first methodology. And it was right then and there. Boom, right away. It showed up on their inbox and calendar as a meeting invite. It had the context of what value was going to be provided in that meeting. And we were able to drive such greater results that I stopped running this test because I was burning leads and burning discovery calls by it. But it really spans across all lead sources. you're using all these tactics as part of your ABM program. So it doesn't matter what your anchor point is on when you send that lead over to the SDRs to follow up with. They have so many things going on that a few months after the ABM program launches and that excitement was there, the excitement has now died off. And you've sent them so many other campaigns that are running, and their sales team leaders or their AEs have sent them so many other campaigns in that 2 months or 3 months while those ABM leads are developing into a sales ready lead or a sales ready opportunity. And it's no longer their priority, but it's our priority. We're spending a lot of money here, but it just has to go into the queue and it has to go in their workflow. And when you do this, you no longer have that problem. You just send the calendar invite. It shows up on the rep's calendar with the folks who are actually wanting to give you that intent, that buyer's intent, show you that they are in market, which in an ABM program, you're almost certain that they are. And you can have that greater success. Now, you see here the intent lead, 6 cents Bambora. We have seen in some cases where people are just launching campaigns, sometimes from the sales team because they don't have many resources, with just going off of the intent data. That's where that 1 to 2% with the increase of 5 to 15% lies, where if you just reach out to people based on an ABM program's intent signal, that's where that is. When you actually run a full program, your conversion rates are probably around 20%, and we're going to increase that significantly because of the efficiency and higher effectiveness of this tactic. Here's what the workflow looks like. Obviously, it comes in, you run the calendar first motion, and the meetings just show up on your sales reps' calendars. It benefits the entire revenue cycle. Marketing leaders, you no longer deliver leads with to-do list tasks. You're delivering the actual accepted discovery call on their calendar. Sales, no more lead chasing. Marketing's delivering the accepted meeting on your calendar. Now you can replace that lead chasing with time on the calendar, scheduled and structured meetings where you can prepare for a quality discovery call, where you can build that value to create more opportunities for your sales team. Or a sales rep, you're busy closing deals. You don't have time to do your own prospecting, even though you're told to, or you don't have the SDR function yet. Now, these meetings just show up on the calendar because the marketing team knows that those intent signals, and they don't need you to do the follow-up. And even if you're doing it manually, the work it is a fraction of the time, a fraction of the work to just take your template meeting invite for that lead source and then send it to them. The accepts are great meetings. The declines, they probably weren't ready in the first place, or you can propose a new time and maybe work them a little bit more. Account management, the account managers and the CSMs, they're not really geared and wired like an SDR or a sales rep, where they're like active hunters. They're trying to create a great value with the product. They're more hand-holding and let's make you successful. To put an upsell or cross-sell conversation in their hands at the end of one of their, closing a technical ticket, finishing off a program that you're trying to evaluate the results on, or maybe even just saying, all right, I got these renewals coming up. I have to now reach out to everyone and try and schedule meetings. That's not what you want them to do. It's not what you've hired them to do. So just launch those meeting invites. And because you already have that established relationship, you're going to have a much more valuable trigger and an offering to provide to them. And you're going to get an extremely high open or accept rate. And you are going to be able to make that team more efficient and more happy, because now they can do the job more of what why they took that job. The thing they love is making those customers happy. To bring it all home, one of the most qualified leaders that is a champion of this process, VP of marketing, SVP of marketing ops, SVP of demand gen, then promoted to COO, said he spends millions of dollars investing in marketing and sales processes to create and generate and drive leads. And if you want to actually feel good about the investment turning into traction, you need to use this, which he's talking about chronologic here, but really it's the calendar first process is the process that's going to do that. If you want a blueprint for how to do this on your own without a software like ours, you can just go to Calendar First, chronologic.ai/calendar first, and we tell you exactly how to do this and the rules and the best practices for it. It's like only maybe a 5 to 7 image scrolling landing page. And then if you want to actually jump in and do the automated version of this, we can show you a demo. But the main point of what we're trying to get across here is there's a better way. You can finally get the results you need in the time frame that you need. No longer do you have to answer to your marketing, sales, and executive team with, we got good traction with our sales team. The leads have 2 or 3 touches on them. We're starting to get some calls booked. You can just say a week after maybe an event, or maybe only after 2 months instead of 3 months of a longer ABM program. You can just tell them we have this many meetings booked with this many companies of this size and with these personas in those meetings. It's a much more valuable discussion. And then off of your conversion rates, because those meetings are already accepted on the calendar so quickly, you can then forecast your pipeline and revenue off of that. And your world becomes a much happier place. So thank you so much. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you try this and reach out to us if you need any assistance. Thank you and have a great day.